They don't make SUVs like this anymore. These were the beasts of the 2000s. Overbuilt, underappreciated, and practically indestructible. From bulletproof engines to frames that laughed at rust, here are 10 old SUVs from the 2000s that were built to last forever. Number 10. Chevrolet TrailBlazer, 2002 to 2009. When Chevy introduced the TrailBlazer in 2002, it wasn't trying to reinvent the SUV, it was trying to outlast the competition. And somehow it did. Built on a true body-on-frame chassis, the TrailBlazer was one of the last mid-size SUVs before everything went soft and suburban. Under the hood sat GM's 4.2-liter Vortec 4200 inline-6, an engine that, at the time, looked totally out of place. While competitors went with V6s, Chevy went bigger and bolder. That engine wasn't just strong, it was overbuilt. It featured a forged crankshaft, a deep skirt iron block, and dual overhead cams. Technology GM rarely used in their trucks back then. The result? Smooth power delivery, low-end torque, and an engine that routinely hits 300,000 miles with nothing but oil changes and common sense maintenance. Owners still praise how the TrailBlazer feels planted, solid, and simple to work on. The 4L60E transmission has its quirks, sure, but treat it right and it'll serve you just as long as the engine will. Number 9. Nissan Xterra, 2000 to 2015. Before crossovers took over every driveway, there was the Xterra, a rugged, no-nonsense SUV built for people who actually left the pavement. Launched in 2000, the Xterra wasn't trying to be luxurious or sophisticated. It was built with one purpose: function over flash. It had a boxy design, a roof rack you could actually use, and a tailgate that felt like it was carved from solid steel. Everything about it screamed adventure, even if the most off-roading you did was driving through a muddy soccer field. Under the hood, the first generation came with two options: a 3.3-liter V6 or a supercharged version for drivers who wanted a little extra punch. But the real magic came in 2005 with the second generation. That's when Nissan dropped in the 4.0-liter VQ 40D EV6, the same engine found in the Frontier and Pathfinder, and it changed everything. This engine became famous for its reliability and torque. It could hit 300,000 miles with regular maintenance, and its timing chain setup meant no expensive belt replacements. Combine that with a sturdy frame borrowed from the Frontier pickup, and you had an SUV that could take a beating and come back for more. Even better, the Xterra kept things refreshingly simple: hydraulic steering, physical buttons, and zero gimmicks. No fragile electronics or complicated air suspensions here, just a durable analog machine built to outlast the modern age. Today, clean Xterras are getting harder to find, not because they broke down, but because their owners refuse to let them go. Number 8. Lexus RX 300 and the RX 330, 1999 to 2006. When Lexus launched the RX 300 in 1999, it didn't just build another SUV, it built a template. This was the first true luxury crossover, and it changed the industry by proving that comfort and durability could coexist. Under the hood sat Toyota's bulletproof 3.0-liter 1MZ V6, an engine so reliable that mechanics used to joke it would outlive its owners. It wasn't designed for drama, it was designed for longevity. Forged internals, overbuilt cooling, and precision engineering made it nearly impossible to kill. These engines routinely crossed 300,000 miles without ever needing major internal work. By 2004, Lexus upgraded to the RX 330 and introduced the 3.3-liter 3M ZV6. Same DNA, slightly more power, same story. Engines that don't quit. Combined with Toyota's silky transmissions and exceptional build quality, the RX quickly gained a reputation as the luxury SUV that never dies. Inside, it was all about peace of mind. Soft leather, whisper-quiet cabins, and safety features that were years ahead of their time. Unlike European luxury cars that demanded expensive maintenance, the RX was effortless to own. That's why so many are still on the road today, calmly humming along while newer luxury SUVs are already on their second transmission. The RX 300 didn't just start a trend, it started a standard, a vehicle that aged gracefully, drove endlessly, and built the reputation that Lexus still enjoys today. Number 7. Chevrolet Suburban, 2000 to 2006. Some SUVs are built for families. The Suburban was built for generations. By the early 2000s, this SUV had already been around for nearly 70 years, and it had earned its title as the longest-running nameplate in automotive history. The 9th generation model, 2000 to 2006, was the golden era of the Suburban, a time when Chevy still built trucks with steel, not software. Under the hood, you'd find GM's legendary Vortec V8 engines, the 5.3-liter or the 6.0-liter, both with cast iron beasts that could haul, tow, and survive decades of punishment. These engines weren't flashy, but they were indestructible. Mechanics often joked that the Suburban's body would rust away long before the motor ever quit. It rode on a traditional body-on-frame platform, meaning it could handle everything from family vacations to construction site abuse. Owners pushed them past 300,000 miles with little more than oil changes and suspension refreshes, and you'll still see early 2000s models towing boats, hauling trailers, and tackling dirt roads like it's 2004 all over again. The interior wasn't about luxury, it was about space and simplicity. 3 rows, a bench seat, and controls that could be operated with gloves on. It was the kind of vehicle you could hand down to your kids and still trust it to run like the day it rolled off the lot. Number 6. Lexus GX 470, 2003 to 2009. If luxury SUVs had a secret weapon, this was it. The Lexus GX 470 didn't just survive the 2000s, it dominated them, quietly earning a reputation as one of the toughest luxury vehicles ever built. That's because, under the polished wood trim and leather seats, the GX 470 was basically a Land Cruiser Prado in disguise. Toyota took its proven off-road platform, refined it with Lexus comfort, and dropped in the legendary 4.7-liter 2UZ58, a cast-iron workhorse that could power through anything from desert trails to frozen winters. This wasn't an engine designed for flash. In fact, Toyota deliberately detuned it to prioritize longevity. At launch, it produced around 235 horsepower, modest on paper, but it barely worked half as hard as it could. That's the trick. When your engine never breaks a sweat, it never breaks down. In 2005, variable valve timing bumped output to 263 horsepower, but reliability stayed rock solid. Owners routinely pushed these SUVs past 300,000 miles, and forums are full of GX 470s still running strong at 500,000. With its 4-wheel drive system, 8.3 inches of ground clearance, and bulletproof drivetrain, it could conquer mountains on Saturday and cruise through the suburbs on Monday, all without a complaint. Even the interior aged like fine wine. Simple analog controls, soft touch materials, and minimal electronic fuss. It's no wonder used GX 470s now have a cult following, with prices climbing as enthusiasts realize how overbuilt they really are. Number 5. Honda CR-V 2002 to 2006. If SUVs had personalities, the Honda CR-V would be the golden retriever, loyal, friendly, and always ready for another trip. The second generation CR-V arrived just as the world was shifting towards softer, car-based crossovers, but Honda built this one with the same precision and durability that made their 90s Civics legendary. It was simple, functional, and above all, reliable. At its heart sat the 2.4-liter K24 engine, an inline-4 so dependable it became one of Honda's most successful power plants ever. Built with a cast aluminum block and dual overhead cams, it balanced fuel efficiency with surprising longevity. With basic oil changes, these engines routinely passed 300,000 miles. And some stretch past 400,000 without burning oil or losing compression. Mechanics love them because everything under the hood is accessible, parts are cheap, and failures are rare. There's no turbo to worry about, no air suspension to leak, and no complex electronics to short out. Just old school Honda engineering that keeps going. And then there's the design. Big windows, clever storage, and the signature rear-mounted spare tire. A reminder that this was a crossover built to handle dirt roads, not just mall parking lots. The ride was smooth, steering light, and cabin ergonomics simple enough for anyone to figure out. The CR-V didn't need to be flashy to earn loyalty. It just had to show up, start every morning, and never let its owners down. Something it's still doing 2 decades later. Number 4. Toyota Highlander, 2001 to 2007. When Toyota launched the Highlander in 2001, it quietly redefined what an SUV could be. It wasn't about brute force or off-road dominance. It was about lasting comfort. This was Toyota's first car-based SUV, built to combine the smooth ride of a sedan with the dependability of their toughest trucks. And it worked flawlessly. Under the hood, early Highlanders came with 2 trusted engines, a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder for economy, and the now iconic 3.0-liter 1MZ-V6 for effortless power. Later models swapped in the updated 3.3-liter 3MZ, the same bulletproof setup found in the Lexus RX. These engines became legendary not for speed, but for endurance. Many Highlanders have passed 350,000 miles with little more than regular maintenance. Mechanically, it was pure Toyota over-engineering. The transmissions were smooth and under-stressed, the cooling systems rarely failed, and the suspension soaked up decades of abuse without complaint. Even the interiors, simple, functional, and ergonomic, aged gracefully, avoiding the rattles and wear that plagued competitors like the Ford Explorer or Chevy TrailBlazer. And despite its car-like design, the Highlander was still tough when it needed to be. Owners routinely towed small trailers, loaded the cargo area to the roof, and drove through snowstorms without issue. Number 3. Toyota Sequoia, 2001 to 2007. When Toyota decided to build a full-size SUV to compete with the American giants, they didn't just scale up a Highlander, they built a tank with a Toyota badge. The first-generation Toyota Sequoia, produced from 2001 to 2007, was massive, capable, and absurdly durable. Beneath its hood was the same 4.7-liter I-Force V8 that powered the Tundra pickup and the legendary Land Cruiser. It wasn't just strong, it was unstoppable. This cast-iron block V8 was engineered to take abuse for decades without flinching. In 2005, Toyota introduced VVTi, which made it smoother and more efficient without sacrificing its bulletproof reputation. The result? An engine so overbuilt that it routinely lasts 400,000 miles or more, sometimes doubling that with good maintenance. The Sequoia's body-on-frame construction made it a true truck at heart. It could tow 6,500 pounds one weekend and haul the entire neighborhood's kids to soccer practice the next. Families loved it because it felt indestructible. Everything from the doors to the suspension screamed longevity. And that's exactly why so many early Sequoias are still on the road today. The paint might fade, the seats might crack, but the drivetrain, it just doesn't quit. Number 2. Toyota 4Runner, 1996 to 2009. There are SUVs that age gracefully, and then there's the Toyota 4Runner, a vehicle that seems to have made a pact with time itself. By the early 2000s, the 4Runner had already built a reputation for outliving its owners, and the third and fourth generations cemented that legacy. The 2000 to 2002 models packed Toyota's fan-favorite 3.4-liter 5VZ V6, an engine so reliable it's not uncommon to see them running past 500,000 miles on the original internals. Then came the fourth generation, 2003 to 2009, where Toyota doubled down on strength. The new 4.0-liter 1 GR-V6 replaced the old 3.4 and ditched the timing belt for a timing chain, meaning one less expensive service and one more reason it just kept going. For those who wanted even more grunt, Toyota offered the optional 4.7-liter V8 shared with the Sequoia and Tundra, turning the 4Runner into a luxury tank. Owners loved it for its versatility. It wasn't a poser SUV, it was body on frame, capable of rock crawling one day and school drop-offs the next. The interiors were tough but comfortable, and the electronics were refreshingly simple. No complex air suspension, no fragile sensors, just Toyota hardware built for the long haul. That's why even today, clean 4Runners from the early 2000s still command shockingly high prices. People know what they're getting, a machine that refuses to die. Number 1. Toyota Land Cruiser, 1998 to 2007. If there's one vehicle that defines what built to last forever truly means, it's the Toyota Land Cruiser. For decades, it's been the standard by which every other SUV is judged, not because it's flashy, but because it simply never dies. The 100 Series Land Cruiser, built from 1998 to 2007, was Toyota's masterpiece of durability. Beneath its calm, understated exterior was the same DNA that made Land Cruisers famous worldwide, from Australian deserts to African safaris to the harshest Arctic expeditions. Under the hood, you'd find Toyota's nearly unbreakable 4.7-liter 2UZ V8 shared with the Sequoia and GX 470. It wasn't designed for power. It was designed to survive anything. Cast iron block, forged crankshaft, over-engineered cooling, the kind of construction that laughs in the face of age, neglect, or even bad fuel. Owners regularly report 400,000 to 600,000 miles on the original drivetrain, and some have gone well past the million-mile mark. Mechanics worldwide swear by it. In fact, in many developing countries, old Land Cruisers are still used daily as rescue vehicles, taxis, and overland rigs. Proof of what happens when a machine is built for endurance, not planned obsolescence.